Hey guys, it's Courtney. It is January 11th, 2024, which means it is 13 years to the day that my mom passed away. Fun. Yeah, that whole subject is an interesting and very, very complicated one. I have tried to record this video probably 8 times already, and every time I do, the things I'm saying are not coming out the way I want them to. So I may have to save these for a blog or a newsletter, which will be debuting shortly. But I don't know. I kind of wanted to, I guess, at least acknowledge the day and that things definitely can get easier, but emotions also kind of get more complicated when, at least for me, when you kind of feel like a death could have been preventable. She died due to complications from morbid obesity and overeating, and she had a troublesome relationship with food. And a lot of the ramifications from that, I had to suffer being her only child and really kind of the only person in her life after my dad died. And a lot of her limitations were set on me as well because I had to be her caretaker and kind of also her entire social circle, because as you can imagine, when you can't get around very well and you're embarrassed by the way you look, which unfortunately she was, you don't have a roaring social life. It's led to some complicated and maybe not altogether pleasant feelings and thoughts surrounding her now that there's been some time and distance but between she and I and our relationship. And it really can be a big mind F at times because we had so many good, amazing memories that I wouldn't trade for the world and could have a really good dynamic. And then there were many, many unhealthy situations that I don't think as a 14 and then older child, I don't think I should have been put into, and I think were really unfair. And then, you pass away, and then that feels like a, excuse me, like a betrayal of sorts as well, because you kind of knew that you were all I had family-wise, and that just wasn't enough to curb the eating issues. And I know addiction is like not that simple and not that cut and dry, but as somebody who really depended on that person to be there for them, it's hard not to feel like you've been betrayed and kind of cast aside. And then there's also feelings of guilt that come because in some ways, unfortunately, not having to live the life that you did have to live with her, that always involved, her every need and having to do every physical activity for her and having to make sure that the world catered to her limitations, there's a little bit of relief there when that isn't there anymore. And, you sound like a shithead for saying that, and you feel ungrateful and unappreciative for everything she did do for saying that. But again, you put a little distance between this relationship, and you can really kind of see that there was a lot of unhealthy stuff there, and a lot of enabling that I wish I could go back and undo. And again, it's hard to not feel angry and resentful. Like, why did you put me in this position? Like, this was really unfair. Wasn't it enough to have to take care of my dying dad with you? She did as well, but wasn't that enough? It's like the second that ends, now now it's your turn, and let me make sure that everything revolves now around taking care of you. It was a lot. It was a lot, and it was frustrating to see somebody not try to make their situation better. And again, I don't want to downplay addiction. I know it's not easy, but it's hard. It's hard to feel like you weren't worth it, because if you were worth it and you were her biggest love and not food, then she would have tried harder, right? I mean, she would have done more. That's at least the way it kind of plays in your head. So I don't know. It's an interesting day. It's an interesting subject. I feel like I could probably say this a lot better in writing because I am a writer. I'm better at that than speaking. But those are my thoughts. And I took Teeny Deenie to Disneyland today. There was no correlation there with the death. We just like to go to Disneyland once a week and had something to do yesterday. We typically go on Wednesdays. Had something to do yesterday, so we went today, and there were we had a really, really good day, and there were a couple brief moments where I thought, like, wow, she's only 2. I was like, this is certainly one of the best days of her life, and I was like, maybe of mine as well. We just had such a good time. And then, of course, you get that little flick in the back of your head that says, like, oh, it's also like your mom's death anniversary, so you suck. And you're like, oh, right. Bad me. Yeah, so one of the many reasons I don't like death anniversaries. I don't feel like it should get to steal any more of my joy or mar any more of my life than it already has. But yet, here we are. So yeah, I just kind of thought I would mark this day by letting you guys get to know a little bit more about me, especially since her death was kind of the catalyst to write the book When Happily Ever After Fails. I did it as a form of therapy to try to kind of work through the deaths of my 2 parents. And while I don't think that was a total success, I am happy that I feel like I produced something positive out of 2 really, really, really crappy situations. So that's it. Yeah, some days I miss you, Mom, and other days I'm just really, really mad at you. And then I think about the fact that Teeny Deenie also got robbed out of a grandmother because you couldn't get it together. And, that makes me mad all over again. Yeah. Okay. Thank you guys for listening. And I hope you don't judge me too harshly. It's been a roller coaster ride dealing with this particular death, and feelings can kind of be all over the board. And I am certainly not trying to vilify anybody who has struggled with addiction. I'm just trying to give a real look at how it can affect other people, and at least how it's affected one person, which is me. Okay. Thanks, guys. Good night.